Everywhere I went, there was always someone smarter than me, someone faster, someone more confident. I spent years trying to catch their shadows, watching them run ahead, while I felt like I was standing still. And eventually, I started to wonder, what happened to the rest of us? What happened to the student who don't fit the mold? In modern education, we're often pushed to the race that we didn't sign up for. We're taught to compete with our classmates, our friends, or even our siblings. Success becomes a score on a page rather than a valuable person. Instead of asking, what am I interested in? How can I learn this more deeply? We find ourselves asking, am I falling too far behind? We learn to succeed on paper, but we forget how to succeed as human beings. In this race, mistake isn't a lesson. It's a mark of shame. We learn to answer quickly rather than understand deeply. We don't learn, we perform. For most of my life, I was a student who understands things last. I remember sitting on a class, watching others in a nod, as if everything makes sense, while I was still stuck on the very first sentence. By the time I caught up, the lesson has already moved on. I wasn't failing, but I was barely passing. Somehow, barely passing felt worse than failing. It meant that I was close enough to compare myself to others, but never close enough to feel like I actually belong. I searched for explanation. Maybe I wasn't smart enough. Maybe I didn't have enough private tutor. In an environment where perfect score is only normal, my struggle felt like a personal flaw. Every test felt less like a chance to grow, but more like a final judgment of my worth. Until eventually, me and my family made a decision that changed everything. We moved to a completely new environment. I expected same invisible competition to follow me. I waited for the ranking. I waited for the moment I feel small again. But something happened that unsettled me. One day, a student in my new class raised their hand, admitted that they didn't understand the lesson. I braced myself to embarrassment, because where I came from, confusion was something you hide. But instead of silence or judgment, other students stepped in. They started explaining the problem together. There was no laughter, no comparison. At that moment, I realized how much energy I spent pretending to understand just to protect my worth. I realized my old school hadn't taught me how to learn. It had taught me how to hide. I began to rethink everything. I used to think success was a destination, a university name, or a salary. But that definition didn't belong to me. I had simply inherited. What I've learned is that success is not a single approved outcome. It's a direction. When we're children, we admire people because they were inspired, not because of their ranking. But somewhere along the way, we forgot that feeling. Education should be space to discover our strengths, not a source of constant self-doubt. I didn't suddenly become a perfect student, but I stopped measuring my worth by how I compared to others. I started measuring my growth by whether I was closer to the person I wanted to become. We are not failing because we're not enough. We're struggling because success has been defined too narrowly. We have been taught that there's only one way to run the race, only one speed that matters. But as Albert Einstein famously said, everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. For years, I was that fish, staring at the tree, wondering why I couldn't climb. But the moment I stopped looking at the tree and start looking at the water, I realized I wasn't slow. I was just in the wrong element. So to anyone here who feels like they're barely passing, stop asking if you're enough for word standard. Start asking if the word standards are enough for you. Don't just aim to succeed on paper. Aim to succeed as a person. Because our world doesn't need more people for the best. It needs more people who have found their own way to swim. Thank you.